Yes, indeed. Let's get ready to rock and roll. Come on. Hey there, hey there. Hello there. Welcome to another edition of the One-on-One. Thank you for logging on in here. Got a session coming up for you here that's real good. Brought to you by T-Go Media and bringing you the bump by bump rundown in this wide world of go-go. You know, as we continue with the true stories of the path makers from deep inside the pocket of go-go in the Washington, D.C. music culture in general as a whole. All right, happy holidays to you. We're going into these holiday times right here. You can tell the weather's good. It gets dark early and all that kind of stuff. So we're going to continue what we do with the one-on-one. Past episodes, just to let you know, past episodes of the one-on-one interview sessions can be seen on social media platforms such as Facebook and YouTube. Also, the T-Go website. You just go to the T-Go website and put in and click, the link going to the one-on-one sessions. All right. I'm your host, Cato Hammond, musician and author of the book entitled Take Me Out to the Go-Go. I'm the author of that book. As a matter of fact, you parents, as you coming into the holidays, might as well tell you about the children's book. Yep, got a children's book that's representing music too called, can I get this on it? Is it too bright, too much light? I want to play too. And this is actually a book that's based on a true story, based on a little Cato and a little Byron Jackson and all that kind of stuff there. But we're going to go further. My guest today, I have a guest today, is a brother who's been planting his footprints in the DC and go-go music scene for the past several decades, like many of the guests we've had on here. That started, I believe, with a band back in the 80s. I believe it was the Mighty Groovers was the first one. We're going to find all that out. That's the whole point of what we hear. But he's been continuing that journey that currently has him landing on the stages across the metropolitan area with the band called Proper Utensils. And also currently, he just released a new project under a new production called the 202 Project. We're going to talk about all of that and everything in between this evening, all right? He's a bass player. He's a guitar player. I know him as both. I'm going to bring him up in here, so I want you guys to welcome big brother Wayne Davis. Wayne, are you
up there? What's up, fam? How y'all be, man?
How's it going with you? Good to see you, man.
Man, I'm blessed, man.
That's good. That's good. That's good. You ready for the holidays?
I'm getting there. I'm never ready. I'm getting there.
How's it been treating you, though? I mean, everybody been down, of course, because of this COVID thing. This kind of making us make our decisions of how we should handle things and stuff. How you maintain it?
The COVID is kind of a blessing in disguise. Although I'm not making much money playing music these days, I'm still able to play some. And if not for the COVID, I probably wouldn't have been focused on getting these recordings out. My studio would have been pretty much dormant. But as a result of the COVID, I've been in it, so that's a good thing.
Okay. We're going to get on that. Matter of fact, we're going to get it because I totally agree with you basically with the same doggone thing. It kind of allowed us to grind more into our craft, off the stage, and that's a real good thing. So, but as we go through here, I want to basically, just like we get everybody on here, the whole point of the one-on-one is for everybody to tell their story. So we want to get into Wayne's story, basically introduce you to folks who don't know who you are, reintroduce you to folks who do know you are, and maybe just forgot about the history and all that kind of stuff, and just connect you with folks that already know what's up. So I'm gonna let you take the driver's seat. I'm just gonna ask a few questions and all that kind of stuff. Probably the first question I would really want you to just tell us is, what is your name and where you from?
I'm Wayne D. I'm originally from Washington, D.C., but I lived in several places.
Mm-hmm.
Lived in
Okay.
PG County, Oxon Hills, Seat Pleasant, Temple Hills. Lived in South Georgia in the country. Lived in South Florida, Hollywood, Florida. And came on back home a few times, but originally born in Washington, D.C. Started out Berry Farms.
Okay. All right. So thinking back into, we're talking during the 70s, right? Well, you know what I'm saying? So we're talking during the 70s. And the reason I threw that out there, because I want you to take us on a ride right now. I want you to think back to your early childhood, whether you were in Berry Farms or whether you was down south or Sea Platin or wherever. What was your very first experience with music in general? What was that like? Do you remember?
Absolutely. My very first experience was playing on my mom's pots and pans down Berry Farms while she was cooking dinner. I was a baby, and she kept me occupied by letting me play on the pots and pans. If she needed a pot or a pan that I was playing on, she would switch me out and give me something else to bang on. Um, that kept me busy. I
That's
remember hearing music all my life.
That's what I'm saying. That's interesting because you remember that. So if you remember that, I gotta have to ask: were you trying to emulate anything, or you was just for what you were seeing or hearing, or what made you decide that those were the good things to tap on? I'm just curious.
Well, it was always music in our house. My father was a trombonist as well as a vocalist. He uh, he sang gospel music as a youngster, so he
Okay.
always played gospel. But he also had music in the house, like Hugh Masekela, um, Raising the Grass, stuff like that. Bobby Hebb, I'm not sure if you remember him. The song "Sunny." He had music
Yeah.
like that playing in our house down Berry Farms, while my mother, she was listening to Al Green and Gladys Knight and the OJs and stuff like that.
Okay. Okay. So just because having it around, that piqued your interest in it.
Absolutely. I think I started asking for a drum set at around age 5, and by that time we had moved from Berry Farms and on the Maryland side, but we were living in an apartment, and I couldn't understand why I wasn't never getting a drum set for Christmas because I was asked for the same thing every year. So about around age 8, um, that's when the drum set appeared.
So you started on drums.
Yeah, started on drums. My brother played lead guitar,
Uh huh.
and what happened when we moved down south? My brother moved down south with my dad, so my dad could try to get a better handle on him with school. My older brother.
Hmm.
I went down to visit, but I fell in love with the country life, and I ended up staying. But my drum set was here.
All
My
right.
my brother's guitar ended up down there, but the amp was still here. They forgot the amp. So long story short, that's how I started playing, by messing with his guitar.
Okay. Do you remember some of the? So, are you self-taught?
Yes and no. I've never had a formal lesson ever, but
Okay.
my first mentor was a guy by the name of Brian Everett. I was 11 years old, and we lived in a little place called Folkestone, Georgia. Most folks don't know about it, that it even exists on the map, but it's the home of Champ and Boss Belly. They're the only people out of Folkestone that people would know.
Hmm.
But that's where I started playing. And my brother, so I took an interest in his guitar, so he turned me on to his best friend, Brian Everett, which eventually became my best friend.
So this was down south during that period.
Yeah, down south, I was 11 years old.
11. Okay. I remember. Do you remember the first song you ever learned on the guitar? We all
Oh,
sometimes
absolutely.
many of us always remember the first song we learned how to play. What was that?
Absolutely. Betty Wright, Tonight is the Night,
Oh,
the live
okay.
version.
Yeah.
So I
Really?
learned the
Okay.
chords and the bass line.
Really? Were you showed it or you figured it out?
No, I was showed it.
Okay.
This guy named Michael who played lead guitar, he showed me the chords, and Bryant showed me the bass line. At that time, my ear wasn't that good, so I didn't even know how to tune my instrument, much less than play it.
Right.
So those guys would tune it for me, show me how to tune it, show me how to play those tunes. That was my first tune.
So those were the only guys you were able to play it with, or were there, other people?
No, Brian's family, his whole family was musically inclined. They all played drums, keys, bass, and guitar, and some of them sang. So he had an older brother, Rudy, who Rudy was like an impresario on the bass at the time. He was fresh out of high school. He might have been 18, and he could play all that Stanley Clarke, Larry Graham stuff with effortlessly. So he was a monster. He was way beyond my scope of playing. But I got some training from watching those guys, man. I had a good. I didn't know what it was then, but I have a pretty much good photographic memory. So I would watch the patterns they would play, and I go home and learn it.
Oh, okay. Okay. All right. So when did you get your first experience in playing with other people in band type of atmosphere?
So when I came back from down south after my 9th grade year, we had a little neighborhood bands and stuff over in Sea Pleasant, and it was a band over in Wilburn by the name of Potential.
Okay.
And I can't really say I was a member of Potential because I never did a show with them, but they would let me rehearse with them. I would come down the basement and play, and brother by the name of Tony Roper came down the basement one day and blew my mind.
On bass.
They wanted him to play, but Tony was like, "Nah, let Shorty play." Tony, I believe he was playing with Peacemakers at the time.
Right.
Of course, the only reason they would let me in the basement because I knew one of the guys in the band, and I had a bass, and they didn't have a bass player, so I was there by default. Fast forward about a year later, I got turned on to some brothers over in Southeast by my cousin Maurice Thomas. We call him Mighty Mo. He was calling that back in the early 80s. Okay. And he turned me on to these guys, and the name of the band was called Double E, short for Double Explosion.
Okay.
Yeah. So Double E was the first band that I actually played on a stage with outside of the little backyard neighborhood bands. They was the first one that actually did an actual show. And
you remember that show? Remember that show?
Absolutely. Valley Green.
So paint us that picture before we go further. Let's see that. You're how old now?
I'm 15.
Okay.
I'm 15 now. We, like I said, my cousin Mo lived down Valley Green, and so he got us the gig down there, and we played for the resident manager out there. And I'm 15 years old. I'm nervous as ever, but I'm well rehearsed because we stayed in the basement rehearsing. My man Eric Brown, who you might know from Unique Sound, Unique Records, and all that, he was the leader of the band, keyboard player and the leader of the band. So we were well rehearsed, and I invited my whole family down there, my mom's, my aunt, my brothers, and we all were down there. That was my first experience. And we played down Valley Green, right? They had like a concrete platform, so it was pretty much like a stage. We right in the middle of the courtyard. And we played there.
I'm thinking during that era, do you remember an era in here, if you was in the area and not down south, do you remember a period, a pre-go-go period where
Absolutely.
you involved in music then?
Absolutely.
Explain that, how I want to hear you explain what was going on there and what made you turn your interest towards go-go, or did your interest remain equal to all of it?
So my aunt at the time, she was a young widow. So she started managing a band to give herself something to do. I was my mother's baby at the time. So while my mother was working, I was with my aunt. And back then, word of mouth would spread of a block party. You know, one person would find out about a block party that's about to happen in a day or so. Phone started ringing, everybody would spread the word. And so you end up in places like Surson Quarter, you know, different places where it may or may not be a showmobile, but a band will be performing. And so we would go around and hear the bands. It was no go-go. I think they were calling them groove bands back in the day. So I would hear those bands. The first time I saw Rare Essence was either the summer of 75 or the summer of 76 at Emory Heights. And the only way that I knew it was Rare Essence because Funky Ned had on a sock hat in the middle of summer, which I thought was kind of strange. And that's the only thing that made me pay attention to him because I was looking at Foots. And then I noticed little Benny in the band. And because I'm thinking they got a little boy in the band the age of me, but come to find out he was much older than me. But anyway, I remember that. Then years later, fast forward, I come back from the country, and then go-go has exploded, and I see Rare Essence, and I remember them.
Oh, you remember them? Were they a smaller band at with the first time you seen them, or still about the same amount of members?
Well, I don't know if you remember, Essence had probably 14 members in the band at one time, so at their biggest. But this band probably had about 8 people in the band. I remember they had the horn section. I don't know if I remember seeing a keyboard player or a percussionist, but I remember Foots, I remember Benny, I remember Ned.
Okay. So when you came back and you saw the explosion of go-go, you knew that was because it was really interesting. And the reason I'm asking this because there was a period when go-go started flourishing that you had bands were plentiful, you know that, but you had some bands that decided not to go that route. They kind of didn't respect it or didn't, whatever it was. They went like the regular top 40 route.
Yeah.
The interesting part of that is many of those bands that went that route kind of fell off, and the ones that went the go-go route continued. You know what I'm saying? Did you notice that, or?
I noticed that right away because it was bands that I remember seeing prior to going down south, and they were well organized bands. And I remember when I came back, I didn't see them. Tell you a story. My first experience coming back, my older brother say, I want to take you to hear this little boy that plays the bass. I want you to hear him. So I say, cool. So we go down to Atlantic Skating Ring. And I just talked to this brother today and went to see him play last night, ironically.
Okay.
He takes me down there to see Junkyard, Reds and the Boys, and the EU. And the little boy he was talking about was Vincent Tabs.
Oh, okay.
So me and Vince are the same age. Vince 9 months older than me. But I go down there and see him play, and it blew my mind. I mean, he's playing, he's stepping. I can hear the bass coming through the system crystal clear. And I'm trying to figure out, man, his bass sound good. Didn't realize anything about tone and all that stuff back then. Fast forward, his bass sounds so good because he had a good bass. He had a Fender Jazz, and I had a cheap bass. So, but yeah, that blew my mind. And
Vincent, he was playing with who at the time?
Again?
Vincent was playing with who at the time?
Reds and the Boys.
Reds. Okay.
Yeah, he was playing with Reds.
So that made you want to tighten up even more, or
Oh man, I went home that night. Whatever time we got home, 2 or 3 in the morning, I went home and pulled out my bass immediately to practice.
Uh,
Yeah, it really inspired me, and I wasn't so much hooked on go-go as I was hooked on seeing him play. The go-go later hit me once I started, getting my chops up, and then I realized that 90% of the bands around are go-go bands,
mhm.
and bands like Chance and Peacemakers, those were the bands that I was really into. I mean, you had the top tier bands like Essence and all that, but I
Yeah.
was into those smaller bands because to me that was guys who were my age, and it looked like that was an obtainable goal for me to
Okay.
be able to play in a band like that.
Okay. Okay. All right. So back to okay. What was the band you said it was? What Eric? It was Unique Explosion. What you said?
Double Explosion.
Double
We
Explosion.
later we was called Double E for short. We was
Okay.
pretty much at the time class carry around band. So class bands carry around band, band that would open up for them at block parties and things like that. We played at the paint shop. I remember you can get in for $1 and a can of food, things like that. Paint shop was where class used to rehearse at.
Okay. It's interesting you use that because I never heard that, but that makes sense. The carry around band. Break that down a little more to get people to understand because that makes a whole lot of sense.
So
Um,
with Double E, Steve Williams, God bless his soul, was the bass player and assistant manager with Class.
okay.
And at one point, he was the manager for Double E. So he was grooming us. And he would get Mo to play with us to enhance our sound. He would get their sound man, Calvin, God bless his soul, to
Uh,
play with us to enhance our sound. And so we'd play different places around Parkland and Garfield with Class opening up for them. And
okay.
so we was like little boys to them, you know what I mean?
Right.
And they hadn't started their rise yet. They hadn't become big. And we would open up for them and do our set, then they come on and do their set.
Okay. So wherever they played at, y'all was playing. Y'all knew y'all wouldn't be on that gig.
Mostly until they started playing with Rasses.
Okay.
Once
But
they
but at,
started,
but at the time, so I mean, if they playing wrestling, that mean they opening now at that point, right?
exactly, they became Rasses carry around band.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's how they blew up.
That I mean, that's really an interesting thing. That whole concept of having a carry around band. The reason I say that because I know we're gonna be bouncing back and forth, but I think about a lot of young artists were younger because they're not really young, but a lot of young artists in go-go. One of their biggest complaints is what they say about an older head not looking out for them or helping pave the
Mhm.
way for them. And having that carry around band is really a big thing. And I'm not saying they don't do it because they probably do. You can only have about one, maybe two carry around bands, right?
Yep,
You know,
yep.
so that's pretty interesting. Okay, so going back to that, so so from that band, what happened?
So Double E broke up, and Steve, who played with Class, he was grooming me to take his spot with Class, and he was going to focus on more on the managing part of it. And I did a few shows with Class. My first show was awful. Um,
What do you
I
mean?
wasn't well rehearsed. Um, I was nervous, and then to add insult with injury, Joel missed the show, the guitar player, because his lady was pregnant,
Uh,
and then one keyboard player quit, and then the other keyboard player got arrested. So now we got a show. The only person in the rhythm section is me and the percussions, and the
and,
drums.
and you wasn't tight on your material.
Oh man, I didn't know the set. I didn't know the keyboard players were giving the calls for the songs, so we was just falling in the songs,
Right.
and it was awful. We opened up for Pump Blenders and Rare Essence,
Where was this?
and when we finished playing, you would have thought a rock band was in the house because Steve took and turned everything over on the stage. He took the bass and destroyed it, beat it against the stage. But I couldn't say nothing because it was his bass.
Did that end your career with them?
No, I still hung around them because the paint shop was like a proving ground. I lived in Maryland, and I would jog over to the paint shop every day over Southeast,
Mm-hmm.
and musicians would come in and out of there. Keyboard players, bass players, whatever, they would come in and out of there all day until class got ready to rehearse. And on days class didn't rehearse, they were still in and out. So to me, that was like the college of the streets. You find your best musicians in there that you could learn from.
Okay, now I understand you stuck with them, but they kept you there because they didn't. In other words, they didn't fire you or cut you for that.
No, they kept me around. They knew I could play, and I ended up doing another show, and I proved myself a little better.
Okay.
So they knew I could play, but at the same time, I didn't cut it that night.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Did they let you know about it? Was that a lesson learned?
Oh man, that was the biggest lesson learned, because what it taught me is to never ever again get caught with your pants down.
Right.
So if you're not ready, don't get on the stage.
Mm-hmm.
It taught me that lesson, and the thing about practicing and rehearsing is two different things. You shouldn't have no limits when it comes to practicing, because you can take however long it takes you to get a song,
right?
Until you got it.
Right.
Rehearsing, when you rehearse with the band, you're supposed to already have learned it. The drill. So that taught me that to spend however long I needed to spend to make sure that I had the song up under my fingers.
Okay. All right. So how long were you with them?
Okay. That probably went on about a year or so. Again, I was the backup bass player. So.
Okay.
Yeah, so that went on about a year or so, and then I got a call from Eric Brown saying, "Hey, we're gonna put Double E back together." So said we just need somewhere to rehearse. So I checked with my mom, and she was cool with it. So we started rehearsing in my house.
Oh, okay.
So instead of me making the track to Southeast, now they were making the track to Temple Hills.
Okay. All right. So so that's going on. So the double, because I have to honestly say I can't. It ain't that I heard everybody, and this is why I really do these jumps. But I had never heard of Double Explosion, so I want to hear more about that group too. You know what I'm saying?
With Double E, we used to do the Kitty Cabarets down at the Maverick Room.
Okay.
The Battle of the Bands down at the Atlas Theater.
Yeah.
And when you say Battle of the Bands, we talking about the young up and coming bands. Wasn't no bands that was out there gigging regularly that they could be a part of that.
Right.
We would play over Johnson Junior High School, Malcolm X Elementary School.
You talking about Fletcher?
Huh?
You talking about Fletcher Johnson? When you say Johnson? What Johnson?
No, Johnson Junior High School over in Garfield.
Okay.
Right off of Stanton Road.
Okay, yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
We play over there. Pretty much the whole Parkland, Garfield, Congress Park, Congress Heights area. We was over in that area pretty much.
Okay. But y'all came over to the Atlas and stuff. Okay.
Yeah, we played uptown a few times too because we had several managers. We had one manager by the name of Mr. Bonham, Mr. Benjamin Bonham, and he was the track coach and the science teacher over at Johnson. So our singer at the time, Bernard, who later became our rapper, he went and talked to him and convinced him into managing the band. So we ended up playing more places when we had Mr. Bonham, you know.
Okay. Okay. And that lasted about how long?
That lasted probably with me, it lasted probably about a year.
Okay. All
Yeah.
right. So we talking what year now?
We talking 82 with double E. 82 to 83 with double E.
Uh, when did you realize that music was what you wanted to pursue as a career, or was it something that you wanted to pursue as a career?
Oh, day one, all my life. You know, I tell everybody I didn't choose music. Music chose me.
Mm-hmm.
And the bass definitely chose me because, like I said, I started as a drummer. I didn't want to be nothing but a drummer. And when I started messing around with the guitar and stuff, and then realized I was playing bass lines. So that was at 11 years old, and I got my first bass at 14.
14. Okay. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. All right. So we're rolling with double exposure now, and bring us on up.
Okay, so we turn into the Mighty Groovers. The way we turn into the Mighty Groovers,
Oh, that's what it was. Okay.
yeah. So our lead talker, guy named Dante, he was playing with Boola and Tony Roper.
Right.
He had left, you know, when Double E broke up, he started playing with them, and they had a band called the Roper Brothers and the Mighty Groovers. So Dante came to the band when we put it back together. He said, "Why don't we call ourselves the Mighty Groovers?" He said they broke up, they're not together anymore. So we all liked the name, so we took the name. But the ironic part about it all was Dante was the first person to get cut from the band. And he got cut from not making it to rehearsal. Not that he didn't have the talent. He had the talent. He just wasn't making the rehearsal. So then our singer became our lead talker, Bernard.
Okay. Okay. Any projects? Did y'all release any projects?
We recorded one live project out at Charlie Fenwick's first studio out behind Hampton Mall.
Yeah,
But
back
it was
post office.
yeah, it was more of a demo than anything else though. But you know, had some crank to it. It was organized, horn section and everything. But we never released any studio recordings.
Mm-hmm.
But we became during the years of 85 to early 87, we became Ray Essence Carry Around Band. So we playing at Cherries and Southeast Gardens and doing the high schools and junior high schools and stuff like that. So on a Friday night, we would say we would go to a high school or junior high school to perform, and then we leave there, and then we get to come on second down Southeast Gardens.
Mm-hmm.
And then turn around Saturday night, we go down Southeast Gardens and we perform again. So we did that for quite a while.
So how often y'all were gigging pretty often then?
Yeah, we were playing every week by that time, you know, Friday and Saturday.
Okay.
And then we hooked up with later we hooked up with Googie, and we started doing our own shows with Reality. So we'd open up in Reality, you know, would showcase this the gig.
Uh-huh. And what spots with Reality?
Mostly schools. You know, we would do the one I remember the most is Malcolm X. We would play inside of Malcolm X the most with them. And that went on for a short time. Then we started doing other shows down Cross Creek, Virginia, and Jimmy's Lounge, you know, and doing our own shows with other bands. Touch Band, for one, we did quite a few shows with them where we would put all the equipment in a big truck and we go down there. You know, our equipment be on there, their equipment be on there. And we go down there and do our shows.
You bring back memories, man.
Yeah.
I'm out of town jump spots, man.
And they will
Yeah.
always be crowded.
Yeah. That's what I mean. You would think it wouldn't be, but by the time you got out there, it's like, good grief. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So we carrying on with the Mighty Groovers, and that lasted about how long?
That lasted for me until I moved back to Florida. Um, Around 87, I was going through some family experiences as well as some health issues. I broke my leg real bad, and so I was dealing with some issues with that, internally. And I moved back to Florida for 3 years, and so I missed 3 years of the DC music scene, which might not seem like much, but in that 3 years, a whole lot changed.
I'm gonna say, what 3 years was that? That we talking in 87, 88, 89?
Yeah, the middle of 87 to the beginning of 90.
Oh yeah, a whole lot happened in that period. Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. But were you still connected even though you weren't here? I guess just through the
Well,
grapevine.
when the butt came out, I was living down in Hollywood, Florida, so I went to see EU play down the Miami Arena,
Right.
and so that was the first time I heard them perform it live. Was there. Of course, I had my cassette tape collection.
That's what I was gonna ask. I was gonna ask what I mean by connected. It's almost like when I went in the army and I was stationed in Germany, I had family and friends sending me tapes and stuff. They keep me in the know of what was going on. So that's what I mean by staying in contact. So you was still basically able to back then. I guess I used the word stream to know what's going on, or stay in the know of what's going on the scene.
No, not really. I just had my tape collection that I took with me.
Oh, okay.
And then I was hearing songs on the radio that was dropping. Like I heard $55 Motel when I was living down there.
Okay.
And I knew automatically it was someone from DC.
Right.
I heard I'm trying to think. The first time I lived in Florida, AM FM song "You Are the One."
Water one. Uh huh.
That was a major hit down there. Um, Second time, I can't remember, but one of Red Essence songs was a hit, and something that Trouble Funk had put out was a hit down there. I want to say "Pump Me Up," but
Okay.
I might be wrong on it. No,
Uh-huh.
not Pump Me Up. It might have been Let's Get Small, but it was a little bit of few songs getting out from DC here and there that
Right.
was making it its way down there.
Okay. So that you was okay. So you was at least staying to know for that to know at least a little bit that part. So you would say, yeah, you missed out a lot, and you came. Now, were you playing music though? Even though you were, it wasn't go down there. Were you still able to keep your chops going?
Yes, I was playing with the gospel quartet down there. Um, it was kind of different. We didn't have a drummer. We had four singers, and one of them played guitar, and the other one played. One of the other ones played tambourine, and I played bass. That was the whole unit, 5 people.
Really?
Yeah, but we would go around wrecking churches. You
Right.
know,
Right. That sounds real interesting.
yeah, we was and I was learning that style of music too. So I was into it. We get to perform with other gospel quartets all over Miami and Fort Lauderdale, and I'm learning that style of music. So I was cool with it.
Now explain. I want you to explain it. Stop, pause, and explain that for me, because you put me in the mind of and I'm sure you probably heard him, Larry Graham, tell that story. Basically how he started plucking and thumping the bass because they didn't have a drummer. Is that where you finding you had to be the bottom in percussion?
In some of the songs, so we got a tambourine player, and he got a head on the tambourine. So
Oh,
he's
he got it.
playing that.
Okay.
and he's singing, and then you got one guy playing guitar and he's singing. The other two guys, they're just singing, and they all lead regardless what part they're singing. They all led on different songs.
Right.
So I'm playing the bass. So if the song needed that, then I put that in there. You know, I learned a technique doing muting that I learned from a guitar player, and I started doing that on the bass. And
Can you explain that? Can you explain that technique? Was that an ancient
yeah, so I'm gonna give my man Clarence, the blues man Turner, his props because he taught it to me. We had put him in the Mighty Groovers as a guitar player, and I was playing bass. When I came back from Florida, we switched. But he taught me that technique where you take your hand and you put it against the strings like that, just lightly.
Yeah.
And then you take these fingers here and you would play. So this hand is up here. This hand is muting, and then you got these fingers. I don't know if you can see what I'm doing.
Yeah, I can see.
But that was a technique that I started doing on the bass to to fit the songs that we were playing. So it gives it a sound almost like an upright bass, but without the sliding effect.
Okay. I was gonna ask, does it give it like a percussive sound feel?
Yeah, it gives it a percussive sound. You know, you different techniques you can do where you can play ghost notes and mute and stuff where it's totally percussive.
Right.
And then you can play actual notes and mute, and it gives it more of a staccato, honed out sound if you hold it, you know.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So your chops are getting, so you're able to keep your chops going, and you get in Florida about 3. You come back to what's happening.
Well, while I was in Florida, I went to the pawn shop and bought me a guitar. So now I'm learning guitar, and the way I taught myself guitar, I knew my chords on the keyboard. From me knowing the chords on the keyboard between major, minor, diminished, augmented, and so forth, I was able to teach myself the chords on the guitar just by knowing what the notes were. And what I found out from the guitar, if you play a chord and you don't have any open notes, it's the same chord all over the instrument, except for it's in a different key. So once I learned that, I kind of took off with the guitar, knowing that I could play all 12 chords, you know, of the same kind by playing one position. So I kind of took off. So now I come back from Florida, and the Mighty Groovers are still doing their thing.
Okay.
And as fate would have it, their guitar player quit. So that opened up something for me, because at that time, I was cool with not playing bass. You know, it opens up something for me to play guitar. So I jumped right in, you know, hit right into the deep end.
Okay. Interesting. So you came back, and then you on guitar. You left the bass player, came back, become the guitar player.
Yes.
All right.
So then
go ahead.
We were going through our trials and tribulations as most bands do.
Right.
And I never forget, we did a gig at All Around Race Club with Chance, Northeast Groovers, and Lil Benny and the Masters.
Okay.
And as I was coming up off the stage, Bobby Smoot was coming on stage. Chance was getting ready to play.
Right.
And so Bobby started talking to me, and I already knew who he was because, like I said, when I was a kid, I was following them bands. So he didn't know me, but I knew who he was. Mm-hmm. So he gave me his card. And about a week or two later, I was playing with Chance.
Okay. So, I mean, you just, Mighty Groovers broke up, but you just went on to the next thing?
Yeah, I left. It was a pretty easy decision.
Right.
Because we wasn't making any money with the Mighty Groovers.
Okay.
So Chance, Bobby was like, I can pay you XYZ every show. So pretty easy decision.
Okay. All right. So now you in the chance camp. So far you had, okay. We're gonna look. I'm gonna try to count the camps. So so it's double exposure, but which became mighty groovers. But you set in the class camp, and I didn't even know that. So now you. So okay, I'm gonna go double exposure, class, mighty groovers, chance.
Yeah.
All right. Keep going.
Now after that, I can't keep count
Right.
because after that, it was so many other bands that I played either guitar or bass for or both. I can't keep count. I remember the bands, but I just can't keep count of how many it was.
Right. Well, I mean, I think a lot of, especially when it comes to sitting in with bands, So, all right. So, but you're still playing. You're still very active.
Yeah.
So, but then we coming up even more in the years, and now you're doing more than just go-go, though.
Yeah. So around that time, I met person who became my mentor. God rest his soul, Mr. Lloyd Pinchback.
Mm-hmm.
And he was playing with a band called A Cut Above.
Okay.
And I was working at a liquor store, and a young lady knew I was a musician, and she knew they needed a bass player. So she referred me. And I went over there and started playing bass with them. And they were playing oldies, they were playing blues, jazz, funk, and a little bit of the music of that day. Like the song by, I think it was Black Box, Everybody. We was doing
everybody. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So we was doing stuff like that, but we was also doing R&B, Mariah Carey, Nita Baker, Jeffrey Osborne, that type of stuff. Some instrumental jazz stuff, some Ronnie Laws, So now I'm getting to spread my wings and learn some other stuff.
Okay. Did that open up a whole new world for you? Basically?
Oh, absolutely. That experience, I would have to say, helped me to understand songwriting more. Okay. Because before that, I was writing grooves, pieces of songs and stuff, but never anything with a complete thought.
Okay.
I would do lyrics, I would do hooks and verses and stuff, but never bridges, never intros, stuff like that, So that helped me with that. All the while, I'm still playing go-go though,
That's what I'm saying. So you're doing both. That's what I was about to ask. So you're still doing the chance thing, but you're also doing that. Okay. And that's what I meant by opening up new worlds, basically, because that's what happened when I found it when I was just playing go-go. I found at the time that was where my vision was, but when I was playing other stuff, the vision was a little further. Even what's the word I'm looking for? Being exposed to new music. You know what I'm saying? I probably normally new music and artists that I probably wouldn't be exposed to if I was just in that little circle area. Okay, that's what I mean.
Well, I started listening to jazz too around the same time I started playing go-go because I went to move with my grandmother over in Hillcrest Heights. So left Seat Pleasant and went to Hillcrest Heights. And my grandmother, all she ever played was jazz. She had an extremely large jazz collection of records, reel to reel, even 78s, So then she started exposing me to jazz, listening to people like Lee Morgan, Clifford Brown, Oscar Peterson, Richard Groove Holmes, Jimmy McGriff, people like that. So I started getting into that, even though I couldn't play it at all. But I started listening to that stuff, and then I don't know if you remember when Pieces of a Dream came around, but that blew my mind. Most people was listening to a song called Mount Airy Groove, and that was cool. But the one that blew my mind was the one they had on there called "Don't Be Sad."
Okay.
So it was like a jazz, swing, reggae, ballad, that type of thing. It was mixed all up, and
Right.
so that started opening up my ears a little bit.
Okay. All right. And that makes your chops get better and better. All right. So we moving on. So chances lasted about how long?
Chance didn't last that long because it was a whole lot of stuff going on in that band. Some people were kind of envious. Say for instance, I was going to PG College at the time, so I think Chance was rehearsing 2 nights a week, and I was only making 1 rehearsal because of school. I was going to school at night, and then some of these other bands that was opening up for us was asking me to sit in. So, at that time I was a mercenary. I was like, if you got that paper, I got you. So I'd sit in for them and do their gig and, play with Chance on the same gig the same night. So some nights I was playing with 3 bands at the same place. And that didn't sit well with some people. And so it was a mutual understanding. We parted ways. There was no love lost with me and Bobby. And we parted ways. So then that's when it really opened up. I started playing with the likes of Superior Funk, Raw Production, sitting in with Epitome, Publicity, Young Experience, playing with WAP and them. I was all over the place by then.
Right.
I didn't necessarily have a home.
Right. But you was playing your footprints all over the place, though.
Oh yeah. Anybody that would have me, I was blessed for the opportunity.
Right.
Some of the bands were very good. Some of them was not so good. You know.
Okay, so I guess we're creeping up onto what? When does City Lights come in the picture? Tell me about City Lights.
Oh wow.
Because I'm thinking we're approaching that, right? Or am I off?
Absolutely. Yeah, okay. Absolutely. So I'm living in Clinton at the time, and I moved to Capitol Heights. A month after I moved to Capitol Heights, my man Eric Brown gives me a call, say, hey, it's this band, this jazz band that's looking for a bass player, and I think you'll fit right in. And so he gave me a VHS tape to learn their set. Mm-hmm. And so I learned their set, and I went over to the audition, and it was in Clinton, Maryland, where I just moved from. So I go to the audition, and I sit down and start playing with them, and it was an automatic fit. I mean, I'm gonna say I was the missing piece to the puzzle. I fit right in.
Right.
No space, perfect fit. And so they went, one by one and welcomed me to the band. And in a short time, we took off, and when I first went to that audition and they welcomed me to the band, they asked me if there was anything you could change about this band, what would it be? And I told them, I said, you all are very talented, but need some bells and whistles. And so that's where I came in at, started helping with the arrangements and stuff and putting accents and dynamics and feels in the arrangements and stuff. Mm-hmm. And so took some of the original music they already had and kind of arranged it.
Okay.
And then we started writing original music together.
And how many pieces was in that band?
It changed from time to time.
Okay.
The smallest we had was 4.
That's what I thought. Okay.
And the biggest that we had was 7, meaning a vocalist. So we had guitar player, myself on bass, piano, drums, percussions, sax, and vocals. That was the biggest unit of it.
Mm-hmm. Did y'all release? I mean, you said you had all this. So how much material did you release? So did you?
We released a CD in '98 called "Who's Up Next."
I never knew that. Did
Yeah,
I? Okay.
Hold on. I
Okay.
Let me see if I can get it for you.
Yeah.
This is my CD, my City Lights Grammy. Can you see it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we released that in 1998.
That do look familiar. Okay. Okay. That do look familiar. Okay.
Yeah.
98 was around the time we connected, right?
Say that again.
Because 98 was right around the time we connected.
No, bro, you getting old. First time I met you was when I came up to give my son a second birthday party. I came up here on a visit from Florida, and that was in '89.
Okay.
That was in '89.
Okay, no, that was when we knew, but I'm talking about when we like basically connected. 98 was when we used to do them tape parties, right?
Nah, that was in 95, 96.
Okay, all right, okay. Yeah, I know.
When you was down in Leesburg.
Yeah. What? That's right.
Yeah, yeah, them all night tape parties.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hey,
okay.
That's when I found out I was allergic to cats too.
Yeah.
Remember I told you about that?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, I got home, my whole head it was purple.
Yeah.
That was around that time.
Okay. Well, yeah, we first met around '89. You saying when you Wow, time be flying like I don't know what. All right, so we're doing the city lights. And before I take it further, I want to do some flashback because I want you to. You gave me one show that was probably your worst show. What would you say, based on those, not anything after City Lights, but based on coming up to what you've done up to City Lights, what would you say one of your most memorable shows was? Paint that picture. Let me see what happened that night.
From the beginning up to City Lights?
Yeah, whatever pops in your head, or whoever you were with at the time.
Oh, wow.
What makes it memorable? You know what I'm saying?
I did a show with Chance at Bonnet's. It was around Christmas time.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And I was playing guitar. And we played This Christmas. And we killed it.
Okay.
That was a memorable show. I did some shows with Raw Production, and we was playing trying to think of the Lenny Kravitz song. It ain't over till it's over.
It ain't over till that used to be my jam.
We killed it. We killed it.
Okay.
So that show was memorable. Of course, with City Lights, every night with City Lights, man, we left it on the stage, and a lot of people didn't know about us because we were playing on bass. So we played bowling, we play Andrews and some of the other Air Force bases, Fort Meade Army bases and Air Force bases up the coast. So, but every time we played, brother, with City Lights, we laughing and smiling because we leaving it all on the stage, everybody in the band, and we practice so much. We practice on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and we started at 7 and we stopped when we got tired. Okay. So we were well rehearsed. We were super tight with our arrangements, so every night with that, man, we left it on the stage. But playing before City Lights with Pinchback and Kim Boy and other people, man, with different bands. Oh yeah, so we had a band.
Really?
We had a band called Next Exit. The leader of the band was Chip Jones from Black Heat.
Okay.
Chip Jones also played with the Young Senators, but he was the leader of Next Exit. He was a bass player himself, but I was in the band because he was focusing on singing.
Okay.
So we was doing, back in the day, we was doing the Motown Review, the jazz standards and stuff, playing at places like Joe Theismann's restaurant, all over in Virginia, different hotels, doing the agency circuit around that time.
Okay.
So we had a lot of nights too that were memorable.
So you were playing with them cats, man. Could you read?
I couldn't sight read at the time. I still don't sight read that well. Bless JB John Buchanan, who is now for the past 7 years been working with me with my sight reading.
Okay.
And I'm getting better. But during that time, a guy by the name of Tony Harrod was our guitar player. And he taught me how to read charts. So the charts, for people that don't know, it basically has the structure of the song, the arrangement, and the chord progressions within that arrangement. So he taught me how to read the charts where I could play based off the chord progression. So you see the chord progression and you play the feel that you hear in your head to that. So I got pretty proficient at that.
All right. I was gonna say, you playing with them cats. Wait a minute, you know.
Oh yeah,
boys. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and I'll be honest, man. They invested in me, man, because they saw something in me. You know, I never forget one of the guys, John L. Gray. If you're listening, he used to play with Black Heat as well. John L. Gray told Kimboy one night, say, "You better get that boy some memory pills," because we was playing the same stuff night after night. But keep in mind, we playing 3 or 4 nights a week and we not rehearsing. And back then, the only way you learn a song is if you had a recording, somebody showed you, or you was just that sharp to hear it in your head and play it. Because there was no internet where you can go and pull a song up and learn it.
Right.
So, but when Kimboy told me what he said, it hurt my feelings. But at the same time, it was a lesson learned, you know, that, okay, try to go to somebody who know these songs in your downtime and learn them, because you're going to be playing them every week. So you might as well learn them instead of trying to play through them. And so those were great experiences, man. And some nights, man, we was playing one night in particular, we was playing What's Going On. And Lloyd took a solo on the flute. I was done. You hear what I'm telling you? That solo was killing so much, I was done. And I think I might even have my eyes closed, man, you know. So we had some great nights with that too, man.
Wow. Okay. Because that's one thing I haven't learned how to do. And I'm intimidated by is that sight read, man. Wow. Okay.
Well, I was too. But I would tell you that it definitely helps.
Well,
definitely helps. You know, we can get together on that, man. You know how we do. When we talk, we don't have no quit time, so we can get together on it.
All right, because that didn't even sound intimidating. Like, wow, something I wish I had learned years ago. Then it would be past me and not ahead of me.
I felt the same way, man. Like coming up in elementary school and middle school, they didn't have music classes in none of the schools that I went to. So, and then when I get to high school, I took a guitar class. It's the first opportunity that I took. And the guitar teacher, I was going to do violin, and all he would do is give us the guitars and let us go in the lunchroom and play them. So we learned zero, you know what I mean? Unless we learned it from each other. So when I got to high school, I was able to take a music theory class. And wasn't but 4 people in the class. but I took that music theory class, and that's what, taught me my chords on the keyboards and the scales and all that stuff. And that class was definitely valuable because I use it every day. Every time I pick up my instrument, I'm applying music theory
Right.
to what I do.
Okay. Yeah, it was different for me. It was even though I went to Duke Ellington, I think I was telling somebody when I first went to audition to Duke Ellington, I auditioned. I went there to audition to play music, play my guitar. But while I was sitting there getting ready to audition, I was informed that I had to know how to read. I was
Yeah,
thinking I was thinking that I was going to learn to read while I was there. I didn't know I had to read before going there. So when they
yeah,
said,
they take you ready made. Hey, hold a second. Somebody's at
yeah,
the door. I know this
okay,
unorthodox. Hold on.
yep, nah, that's good. Look at all them guitars he got up in there, man. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I see 7 guitars. I don't know how many basses. Look like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 of them, at least 5 of them are bass guitars, and maybe 2 of them are lead guitars. Then he got his drum set sitting back there, I see. And I only got 4 guitars here. and
All right, back on the scene.
well, no, it was cool. While you was gone, I was able to try to count how many guitars you have up there. I see 7. Is that 7 guitars? See hanging up
Oh, I'll let you pan a little bit then.
there. Okay, there's even more. Okay, 7, 8. Okay, and okay. What's that white one? Is that a white acoustic?
Yeah, it's more like a natural wood color.
Okay, now that's just the light on it, make it look white. Okay,
Yeah,
all right,
I had a white upright up until about 2 weeks ago. I got rid of that.
right.
Yeah,
A white upright, really?
yeah,
Can you play fretless?
yeah. That's what upright is. It's fretless,
Oh, that's right. Yeah, okay.
but they got a fretless electric as well.
That's what I meant. Well, I was thinking fretless. I was thinking about electric. But if you
Yeah,
play upright, then of course you can play fretless, bass,
yeah,
regular. Um,
yeah. So
okay.
I've been getting into that a little bit more. I'm trying to get proficient enough on it where I can go do a gig exclusively with just the upright. So that's my goal.
Okay, now we're coming up on something that I want to bring up because I think we're coming up on it soon. But you are one of the few, and I'm hoping everybody do it. At least, I mean, we ain't got but one life to live. But you are one of the few who released a solo project. One of the few in this go-go culture that have released a full album, not just a single. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? I mean,
Well, that was something when I started songwriting um, back in the 80s. That was something that I always wanted to do, but
uh,
never had the resources to do it. Um, didn't know how to start the process and all that.
right,
So after I recorded on other people's records, I started learning a little bit about the studio, the recording process, and all this and that. And so I took that information to City Lights and we did that CD.
right,
Of course, some of them knew some of that stuff, but they were kind of inexperienced with that. Um, and then fast forward, took all that knowledge to my own project, and I was blessed to be helped by Eric Brown again um, with Unique Sounds and his partner, Herb White, with Unique Records. And
okay,
some of the other crew, Will Gorm, different people that work with them, helped me put this thing together. And so um, before doing that, ironically, I had a dream, right?
tell me about it.
And if you remember the song by Kool and the Gang, Hollywood Swinging,
Uh-huh.
and he's telling the story about him being at a show and he did the Kool and the Gang show and all that, the lyrics. So
Yeah.
I had a dream to something similar to that I'm at a show and I'm performing and I'm looking at myself perform. And all this is a dream. So fast forward, I had to call the recording a childhood dream because I've been wanting to play music since childhood. And I have this dream. So I call it a childhood dream. So on the CD cover, I don't know if you can see it, if the glares. So there's different images in the background of musicians playing.
Right.
All those images of me. And then you got a child watching. So just imagine that child being me when I was a kid.
Ah, okay.
So that was the concept that I came up with for the CD cover. And I can't take full credit. I got the concept partially. You remember the Graham Central Station album, Do You Want to Dance?
Now were they dancing in the crowd, but they also on stage performing?
Yeah. Well,
yep.
Unbeknownst to me, my cousin was the person who drew that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, my second cousin.
Okay.
His name was Boot. He passed years ago, but he drew that. His brother, you might know him. He played guitar with Simba, Robert Earl.
Yeah. Okay.
So he's the guitarist for Simba.
Right.
But yeah, so I kind of morphed some of that concept into a live concept instead of it being like a cartoon drawing and make it a real pictures. Yeah.
I mean, that's cool because I mean, of course, I'm aware of the cover of the CD, and but I didn't realize, and I knew that all the people on the stage were you, but I didn't realize the kid was supposed to be you too.
Yeah.
I thought it was just a kid being inspired by you. Okay, that's cool.
Yeah. So it's all part of a childhood dream.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so you've been thinking that one for a while. Okay.
Man, I worked on that CD for 5 years before I released it. And I was blessed to have some of DC's best talent to help me. You know, a lot of people, they do things and they try to take credit all for themselves. But, you know, I was just more or less the catalyst for getting it done. Right. But if not for Eric Brown and Herb helping me, it would have never gotten done. And then some of the other musicians who contributed their talents on it too. So, I mean, everybody's on it.
I was going to say, who are some of the musicians that you have on it with?
I got Mickey on it. I got Jungle Boogie. Got James Funk, Pam Ward, Derek Redfoot Freeman, Rodney Simpson, Kevin Levi, Scooter Leroy Taylor, Tony Harrod, Kenny Quick Gross, Jerika White, Sean Gross, better known as Kal-El.
Right.
A young man by the name of Deshard Barner, who we never met in person, but the way we did the recording is I emailed him the track, he put the vocals on it from California, sent it back. Okay. And that's the title track, Childhood Dream. I'm sure I'm forgetting some people who are on it, and if I do, charge it to my head, not my heart, because I actually have to read it.
I thought about that when I asked. I thought
Blame Kato if I forgot you.
Yeah. I know. I hate when I have to run a list and I know I'm gonna leave somebody out. So I thought about that when I asked you. I said, "Damn, I shouldn't have asked him that." Because it's
and I can't leave out Lloyd Pinchback. Lloyd played flute on the track "I'm Still Here," and if you listen to it, man, he did it in one take. You know, and then Tony Brown, JB, and Lloyd played horns on Round Midnight. Lloyd also wrote the horn arrangement, bless his soul. Had the Soul Patrol horns on Baby I Love You, Daryl Hayes and Benny Dancy, a.k.a. Scooter.
Scooter, yeah, okay.
Daryl Hayes, a.k.a. Tidy. So I had a lot of people. Had Gogo Mike, can't forget him. He played trombone solo.
Yeah, Tidy and Mike and Scooter. Okay.
Yeah, had Go-Go Mike on it.
Yeah.
Just blessed, man. One of my good friends from Oklahoma, he's a music major, but he doesn't play in any groups, but he played guitar around midnight.
Okay. I love
but
it.
he has a master's in music, a guy named Curtis Nunley.
Right.
Yeah.
That's probably one of my top favorite tracks on it, Around Midnight.
Yeah. It's one of mine. It's one of mine. Inspired by Pieces of a Dream.
Man, oh man. Okay. So you got that project going. How you got the people on there? I mean, man, that's a hell of a list of people you got on there. It took you 5 years to get it done, man.
Yeah, because you paying for stuff out your pocket.
Right.
And when you paying for stuff out your pocket, you got to pay the people to play on your song. Some will do it just because they're a friend of yours and they're trying to help you out. But most people, are musicians, and that's how they eat. So, you got to pay for that, studio time, different things, and then the big deal is you got to pay for the reproduction of it. And so it took a while. I pretty much used my money from playing music to pay for it, to be honest with you.
Right.
Yeah.
Work though, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's a blessing.
Yeah. Okay. All right. And you mentioned something about the City Light, or did I hear you wrong? That was Grammy nominated? That was nominated?
No, I was teasing.
Okay. All right.
I was saying this is my personal Grammy.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So
all right.
the manager's wife pretty much put everybody a thing together like this for themselves when we did the CD.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. So to me, that's my Grammy, man.
Okay. All right. I was just checking. I thought, all right. You never know. You never know. Is that still available, or is it just out of print? Or
no, it's still available. It's on CD Baby and Amazon that I know of.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
And of course, yours is still available.
Mine is still available. Of course, they can get it from my website. It was designed by Cato Hammond himself. Did an excellent job on it. So if y'all go check out thebasics.com, you'll see his work. It's DABASSICS.com. The Basics.
The Basics.
And it's available there. You can buy the whole CD or you can buy the tracks you like.
Right. All right. So we coming up. You got this on. You got the CD done. That work is done. Now what's next? What came after that?
So here's the thing.
A while ago, that itself, that's been. It don't seem like it, but that's. I don't know. CD has been our way a good
about 5 or 6 years.
About 5 or 6 years, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, and so the whole thing was not to put a CD out to start doing gigs around town and stuff like that, but to just showcase my songwriting and arranging ability, and to kind of create a body of work for myself. I've been working for other people doing recordings and stuff, so why not do something for yourself?
Right.
Get some of the ideas that's floating around up here out, so that when you're gone, that's still here. So that's what that was about.
Yeah. Believe me, that's why I do everything I do. I'm trying to leave something. I'm trying to leave my little sign on the wall. You know that sign that says such and such was here? That's what I'm trying to do.
Absolutely.
So,
absolutely.
Man, oh man. Let's see. All right, so we got that going. So, okay, now how did the prop utensils thing come about? Because is that next? I don't want to skip anything. Was that next?
It's a lot of stuff in between. Like I played with Subtle for a while before I played with them. Okay. That lasted probably about 8 months or so.
Okay.
It was a cool ride, but the old saying, everything isn't for everybody. And that really wasn't for me. So then I I'm trying to think of other opportunities have come in between here and there. But so Proper Utensils came around when my man Keith Busey gave me a call and say, hey man, I need you to sit in for me one night. He was playing bass with Proper Utensils. But if you know, Keith Busey is like Mr. Dynamite. He's the busiest man in show business in this DMV, and that's real talk. So he had a string of shows that was conflicting. So he called me to do the show, to sit in for him. Now, the jury is still out to this day on what actually happened, because Keith said Funk knew I was coming. Funk said he didn't know I was coming. So I show up. Funk said that I told him I'm sitting in for Busey. And his eyes got big. You know the Funk look. He gave me the Funk look with the big eyes and the teeth. And he's like, I'm a little nervous about that. And I said, yeah, well, keep in mind, I'm nervous too.
Right.
But remember what I said about being well rehearsed. So I told him by the end of the night, hopefully I would have eased your nerves. Right? Wasn't talking trash.
Right. Huh? But he already knew you and knew of you. But just nervous because how Funk is. I know.
Believe it or not, he said he didn't know of me. Which when we was playing with Essence, that was during the time when he was away from Essence. And even some of the shows I did with Subtle, he was DJing. He said he didn't remember me. And he was playing City Light CD on the radio left and right. But he didn't know that was me either. But anyway.
Wow. Okay.
And that's what I found out later from him. But what had happened, one of the guys in the band had gave me some CDs of some old stuff that they had. And he also told me go online and listen to some other songs. And he told me what songs to listen to and learn. So I learned the stuff on that CD, and I learned the stuff that I learned off the internet. And keep in mind, Proper Utensils doesn't use a set list.
Right.
So he asked me, well, what I know. And I said, well, I know some of your stuff. So he had me get with JB on that gig. And so I got with JB, and JB going through the songs and stuff, and I'm on them. So we practicing before the gig. And JB's like, nah, Funk, he's good. He's good with the music.
You got the JB stamp. Okay.
Yeah, so I got the JB stamp. I already had the Lloyd stamp.
Yeah.
Lloyd had already spoke of me once I walked in the room, so now I get up on the stage and we do the gig. And I think what impressed Funk, now that I know him, I think what impressed them was we was playing this little groove we played before the one-on-one. And I put a bass line to that groove. And then when I put the bass line to the groove, he had me do a solo. So when he had me do my solo, he was basically trying to check out my chops.
Oh, yeah.
And so he had his eyes closed and he was smiling. So I didn't know then, but I know now that was his seal of approval.
Right. Okay.
So fast forward a few years after that, Busey calls me and tells me, he think he's going to leave the band because he's just getting too busy. And there's becoming more and more conflicts. And I sat in a few more times between that. But then he told me he wanted me to take his spot. So he called Funk. Funk called me. Now I'm in the band.
Okay. All right.
And that was 2013.
You've been rolling with them ever since?
Well, I stepped away for a second.
Okay.
You know how communication is sometimes.
Yeah.
So I stepped away for a second, but then, me and Funk came back to the table and we was able to make it work for us. And I've been back ever since.
All right. Okay. So, I have to ask. I gotta ask. I guess it's because, and the reason I'm asking is because I know what it's like. So I'm just curious. in your experience in working with different bands, and I'm gonna tell you why I'm asking you this. Um, what did you find? Was there anything you found different about what working with funk? And the reason I'm asking this because I know when I started working with them, I got a clear understanding why RE was where they were. Just being in rehearsals and how he ran his rehearsals, I said, okay, no wonder. You know what I'm saying? Did you get that kind of thing? I'm
Oh,
just curious.
absolutely. I mean, he's a taskmaster.
Mm,
He's a taskmaster. There's no other way of putting it, you know. And he has a knack. He's not a musician, so he can't really talk in musicians' terms and stuff. But he has an ear. He has a knack for knowing the slightest thing that's not in the right place.
yeah, yeah,
He also has a knack for knowing if something will work or not. And I have that same thing.
right.
I'm a taskmaster, so I was already kind of like that with City Lights. The only difference is with don't stop. I'm doing an interview. Only thing with Funk, he'll take one task and sometimes work on that one task all night long.
Yeah,
And sometimes I'll be like, oh yeah, this joint ready. I can't wait to play it. Then I'm on the stage waiting for him to call it, and he never calls it.
right,
That's happened before, plenty of times.
right, right.
But some people don't understand his methodology. Some people can't get with it. Some people take it personal. Um, I look at it like this: Proper Utensils is James Funk's band. I am a member in James Funk's band.
Mm,
So my job is to control the bass seat, right? Control the bass chair based off of what he's asking me to do.
yeah,
Now,
right,
I'm no robot, so I'm going to force my will in there when I see that it fits,
right.
right? And most times, 95% of the time, he's on point with what I'm doing.
Okay,
So I think it's an understanding, where you understand what he wants, you understand what you need to do, and you understand what you can do and what you can give him that he might not even realize you can give him. You follow what I'm saying?
mm-hmm.
But sometimes you performing and you might try something on stage and he'll do like that, right? That means don't try that no more. Try something else,
Yeah,
right? And I'm cool with that
yeah,
because
yeah,
again, the marquee doesn't say Wayne Davis.
right,
You know
right,
what I mean? So I'm cool. I'm cool with that. Some people, I think I'm a born leader,
right,
but in order to be a born leader, you also have to be a born follower.
no doubt.
So if you in the proper utensil setting, your job is to be a follower and to insert your leadership skills when needed.
Right,
That's any band. That's not just proper utensils. Some people get it twisted. They come in a band and they want to do their thing and they don't want to do what's being asked of them, what they're being paid to do, what they're being hired to do. They want to do their thing and it clashes. So
do you think you would have understood that had you not had the experiences you had in the bands over the years that you had?
absolutely not. Absolutely not. I'll give you a prime example.
Uh-huh.
When I met, and you keep hearing his name, Eric Brown, that's
Right,
my man. We
right,
go back since I was 15 years old,
right.
right? And one thing I learned from him early on was structure. I
Okay,
learned from him that, hey, somebody has to be the leader, somebody has to be a follower. You can have partnership in that, but it has to be understood and the boundaries have to be understood.
yep,
And with Double E, we weren't the best band, but we were well, structured.
right,
Everybody played their role and they played it well. So fast forward to City Lights, I took that structure to them, and they partially had most of it, but I took some of the other structure to them. So yeah, your experiences set you up for everything.
Right.
You know, either success or failure based on your experiences.
Right.
And your level of discipline.
Okay. Awesome. I say that's totally awesome. And let me ask, right now, you've released. I want to talk about that a little bit before we roll out of here. I know I had you in there for a minute, and I know you got to get ready to get out. But I want to go and talk about this project with the 202 project. What's up with that?
So the
Explain
202
to everybody what that is, basically.
Yeah. So the 202 project was never meant to be a band, but exactly what it is, a project.
Right.
And
that's why they call it band. That's the project.
Yeah. And we had another name we was trying to use, a series of names we were going through before we landed on that. But the keyboard player, Rick Flanagan, he sent me a track one day, and he just wanted to know what I thought about it. But me being me, I put two bass lines to it, a main bass line and an alternate bass line, and then I put a guitar part to it, and I sent it back to him. And when I sent it back to him, he's like, man, we need to do something with this. So he's like, what do you think we should do, man? I said, well, see who in our camp want to do it. You know, who we need out of the camp that can do it. We don't need a horn section on this particular song. We could have put one on it, but we really didn't need it. So we reached out to Antonio. We reached out to Bouncy, told him what we was trying to do, and they came together. And we came over here. I call this Wayne's World, and if you're looking, you can see why.
Yeah.
But we came over here to Wayne's World, and we laid it down.
For sure.
And, huh?
I was just playing around.
Yeah. Excellent. Party down.
Yeah, party up.
So we laid it down, and we was impressed with it. So we reached out to Say Two, who's a Dynamite vocalist as well as a rapper. Right. And I told him, I said, man, I love to have you on this, man. Can you put 16 on it? So he asked me, well, what you want me to write about? So I told him. He said, got you. So we reached out to TJ, who used to be with Proper Utensils. And then Rick reached out to a young lady by the name of Gina Rose. And we just meshed them in. You know, we had each one of them do a verse and back each other up on the verse. And then we had Say Two spit 16. And there it was.
So did y'all record it live or piece by piece?
Oh, no, man. So that's crazy. So I had an 8-channel interface in my studio, right? And the day we got ready to record, the 8-channel interface failed us. So I had to take a 2-channel interface and figure out how to record this whole band on just a 2-channel interface.
Wow.
So what we did, we recorded it on 1 channel of the interface with just a mic in the room. With all of us playing. And then we went back and we had Antonio listen to that and play to it. And then I played to it, then Rick played to it, then Bouncy played to it, so forth. And so we built it that way.
Okay. Interesting.
Now I'm blessed. I don't know if you can see the background or not, but I'm blessed now with a 24-track digital board. Okay. Unique sounds. And that 24-channel digital board also has a 24-channel interface on it. So now I can do my thing. I don't know if you can see, I got 8 mics alone just on the drums. Then I got several channels for keys, bass, guitar, vocals, so forth. So I'm good with that. Cool. And I recently did a project for Kevin E. Smith Sr. Name of the song is called Long Gone. And I don't know if you remember the Bits and Pieces used to play it by the trumpeter by the name of Perez with it. So we went on and covered it and put a little flow to it. And The song is recorded. We just waiting for Mike Neal to finish mixing it, Funky Ned.
Okay.
And once we finish mixing it, then we're gonna go ahead and release it. But back to the 202 project, we did that. Took it uptown to Rick Haskins, that used to play trumpet with Reality, In Too Deep, and had him and Googie mix it. And you know, Googie's name is synonymous with mixing go-go in the DMV. So that was, you know, enough said with that. We was in there. I think we got in there at 3:00 one day, and when we left out, it was about 3:20 in the morning. But it was done. Yeah, it was done. And Googie inserted a whole bunch of his expertise and ideas. So he really did some associate production on it as well as mixing. You know, yeah.
I can't want to hear that. Can't wait to hear that. I'm curious about it.
Yeah, so it's that particular song, the Project 202 project, Wake Up Everybody. That's available on all outlets now. So, you know, you can check it out.
Okay, I'm gonna ask a few questions. Well, let me see what we got here. A couple of things I always ask this to everybody, and I think I'm gonna get a good answer from you. What do you feel distinguishes an artist from a musician?
Okay.
What would you say in your words?
So first of all, let me just say there's nothing wrong with either one of those.
No. But there's a difference, correct?
But the difference is a musician will play the part and you will never know who it is from listening to it. An artist will play the part, whether they're singing, playing an instrument, or whatever. And if you know that person's creativity and their style, you'll know it's them. Mm-hmm. That's the biggest difference to me. So the artist inflects their will on whatever they're doing.
Right.
You know, I give you an example. Prop Utensil plays the one-on-one as a dedication to Foots every night we perform. And Funky Ned played that bass line, and he played it incredibly great. But there's only one Funky Ned, period, point blank, right? At the same time, there's only one Wayne Davis. Right. So what I do, I take the bass line and take the framework, and I interject my own self into what we're doing with that particular song, so that the person listen to it and they know my style. They're like, oh, that's Wayne. Okay. That to me is the difference between an artist and a musician.
All right. Okay, I'm gonna ask this: art and music has an impact on both the young and the old. All right, everyone loves a celebrity or whatever. What would be your advice that you have? Because they definitely see totally different from what we see. But when it comes to music and the business in general, what advice would you have for the youth of today?
The advice I would have for the youth of today,
and we can actually be speaking to your daughter, because your daughter's in the game, you know. So yeah,
absolutely, and she has taken my advice and some.
Okay.
And the number one advice I would give you is originality. Practice your craft. Never think that you've arrived, because this thing called music, even though it's only 12 notes, it's a lifetime of learning with it.
Yeah, buddy.
So, and then put your plan together for success. If you're performing with someone, put your plan together for what's successful for you. Mm-hmm. If you have your own unit, put your plan together of what success means, you know, so that you're not just kind of swinging in the wind, but you have a destination of a goal, you know. So that's the biggest advice. And I'm still learning the business. Mm-hmm. So I would tell everybody to learn the business if you're going to be in it. You know, learn everything you can about it. So you learn your craft, which is your voice, your instrument, or whatever, and you learn the business. And then you also have to realize that there's sacrifices to be made for what you want. So if you want to reach a certain destination with your talent, then you got to sacrifice it. You know, a guy by the name of Ricky Minor wrote a book, and I have yet to read it. But the most I've learned from the book was from the title. And the title is called "There's No Traffic on the Extra Mile." So think about that. Yeah. So what I do, I'm up to 3 a.m. sometimes, 4 a.m, whatever. I've fallen asleep with my instrument in my hand with these on, knowing that there's no traffic on the extra mile. Nobody knows how much you're putting into your craft but you.
Right.
If it takes you a certain amount of time to learn a certain thing that you're trying to learn, put it in there. Put the time in. Go ahead and learn it. Yeah. Because what you bring into the table is supposed to be from here. So if it's from there, bring it out.
Right.
That's the best advice I can say.
I love it.
Then the last thing, and I learned this early on, back around 82 or about 83 when I met Glenn Ellis, is to never put yourself before the talent. And what I mean by that, never think that you're so big and mighty that you can't be touched, you're untouchable, or you the best thing since sliced bread, or you can't share something with somebody, nobody can ask you anything, or you don't have time to stop to talk to somebody if they ask you something about what you're doing.
Right.
You know, be humble. Be humble. Try to be the best you can be instead of trying to emulate somebody. You know, I got people that I admire as a musician. My first influence was Mark Adams from Slave on bass.
Okay.
Then my next influence, of course, Larry Graham was in the mix, but you had Aaron Mills from Cameo, highly influenced my playing. Marcus Miller later on influenced my playing, but also Glenn Ellis, Mike Neal, Funky Ned. You know, I have to give those guys credit. They influenced my playing. Whole bunch of other people along the way, but those were the ones that influenced it the most.
Right.
But with all that said, they're them and I'm myself. So I can't try to emulate them and try to play like they play. They've already done it. So do you.
All right. Okay. Now I want to ask this one real quick. Looking at we in 2020, getting ready, just a little over a month shy of a little over a month shy of hitting 2020, 2021. Looking at go-go today, what do you see today? Basically, just looking at the state of go-go, what's happening, the future go-go, and all that kind of stuff. What do you see? First thing that comes to your mind when you talk about
I see the generational differences when it comes to creativity and what they do and all this and that. I see bands are starting to realize that the same 15 to 20 songs is not going to do it, that you got to have something original. And even if they're doing remakes of something, you got to have something original. And I see some of the bands leaning towards doing that, you know. Even if you use, say, for instance, like Mary J. Blige might use somebody else's hook but put different lyrics to it, you know. It's still originality to that, you know. And I see it leaning towards that way for people to do something. I also see that with this digital age that we're in now, to be able to record is a lot less expensive than it was back in the day, and it's a lot easier. So I see a lot of people leaning towards doing recordings to up the music. One thing that DC is missing is the machine. And the machine is what pushes that recording once it's done. You know, LA has it, New York has it, some of the South, Atlanta has it, but DC does not have that. And that's what we need in order to make not just this go-go thing go, but anything that we're doing go. Or we're going to have to go to those other places that I just named.
Right. All right. Finish these sentences. All right. Fill in the blank, rather.
Okay.
Without music, I would be blank. Without music, I would be
breathless.
Music is blank.
Music is love.
Support music because blank.
Support music because we all need it. It's the language of love. We all need music. So if you support it, you're supporting the people who do it.
All right. Okay. All right. Well, on that note, but before we roll out, all the links and stuff or information you want to, provide folks out there with, any updates, anything happening. I know you said you got the other project that's getting ready to be released once Funky Ned put his touches on.
Yeah, so we got the Kevin E. Smith project that we going to be putting out there. I got another project coming. It's an original song that I wrote, and it's an instrumental. And I'll give you the title. It's called Just a Pinch, but I'll leave it at that. I won't give you any more information about it than that. But that's coming forth. My daughter, Chella, you can check her out at sheischella.com for her music. I'm playing on some of her stuff, but she got her own original music, which she helped produce, write, and arrange. She's also putting her own unit together. The 202 project. Yeah, she's got her own unit together that she's working on now. The 202 project has Wake Up Everybody Out. That's on all streaming outlets, available all digital outlets. I'll also get that information to some of this other stuff updated on my website. And that's at thebasics.com. That's DABASSICS.com. And you can get my old stuff there. I'm trying to make some of the City Light stuff available too, because it's becoming obsolete. So I'm going to try to make some of that stuff available there. And I'm trying to think what other projects that are forthcoming. I got a few other people that I'm working with, but they haven't put anything out yet. But you can also catch Say 2. Say 2 has this stuff all over social media, and it's available on all outlets. Please check him out. This dude, I believe in him. And I told him that from the day I met him. He reminded me of my baby brother. That was one thing that had me stuck. But the other thing, he's super talented. He sings, he writes, he raps, and he puts out a song like every week. And it's not just a song, it's quality music. I told him his song that was a hit though, out the box, is called Chill. So check out Chill by Say 2. That's available on all outlets as well.
I'm gonna pull that up, okay.
Yeah, check that song out. It's a bona fide hit.
Okay. All right. Well, like I said, totally appreciate you taking the time and doing this. I mean, we sit and talk, and we've talked on the phone and all that, and I still learn new stuff every time, something new or a few new things. So I appreciate you taking the time and doing this platform.
Definitely, man. Thanks for the love, man. Thanks for all the help in the past with interviews and websites and all that other stuff, man. It doesn't go unnoticed, man. And I'm saying to you, I appreciate you, brother.
I appreciate you too, man. Much love, man. Totally.
Yeah, one love.
All right. Peace out, y'all. Y'all be good. Y'all be safe, and keep the love going.
That's right. Be blessed, everybody.
Yes.